Greetings. This is Anthony, formerly of Idaho and currently in the great state of Alabama. I wanted to just put out a quick little update. This is the RE27ND microphone. I love the looks of this thing, but I digress. Anyway, last July, the facility that I was working for in Idaho closed. I'd worked there for about 15 years as the director of their IT department. And when that facility closed, just due to, I don't know, everything that had been going on in my family and the world around me and stuff, it just seemed like it was time for a change. And so when we evaluated what that change looked like, it looked like moving, and it looked like moving to Alabama. So that's where I am. We still have property in Idaho, and we have plans to go visit periodically. That's where my family's at. It's where I grew up, and so I think no matter where I live, that's probably always going to be home. It's weird in a lot of ways being away from there. And at the same time, there's some excitement here because I'm in a part of the country that has more history. At least that's not true, right? I mean, it's all been here. But as far as history of the United States, it took longer for us to go out and mess up what's out there out west. So here, there are some older things to look at, and that's kind of cool. There's also a lot of different things to look at. The trees that are here, there's a lot more deciduous trees. There are pine trees out here, but they don't look the same. They're not 80 feet tall. Just, and then I think as you move east in the United States, once you leave like Wyoming, North and South Dakota, that whole area, the population density starts increasing, and the further east you go, the more dense it gets, at least as near as I can tell. So, that just means that things are different. In Idaho, you could get on the motorcycle, and in less than 20 minutes, you could be in the woods at a place where there's probably a 99% chance that there's nobody going to be anywhere near you. Out here, I don't really know how far you have to drive to get to that place. I haven't found it yet. I'm hoping to find it on the bike. And speaking of bikes, my 2017 Kawasaki Versys-X is still with me. It's just in Idaho. It's got about 11,000 miles on it, I think, when I left. I'd have to check the odometer log that I keep. Anyway, it's there along with a motorcycle riding outfit and everything that I'm going to need for when I'm there to go out and continue to ride that motorcycle. And in fact, we have some plans this year. Here, my sister has a 2016 Ducati Scrambler Urban Enduro, and it's quite a bit different. And when I start posting videos, you'll see. But there are some similarities in what the bike is kind of intended to do. The overlap is in that they're both intended to be able to operate off of roads that are less than well maintained, right? They're not freeway bikes. They're not highway bikes necessarily, although, they both can do that. The Scrambler probably has a little bit of an edge on highway stuff. I'm just going to say, because it's an 800 cubic inch engine, or cubic inch. It's an 800 cubic cc engine, whereas the Versys-X is a 300. So, even with the different gear ratios and stuff that they have, I think the Scrambler is definitely a much faster bike. It's going to accelerate a lot quicker. I'm guessing as soon as I get it off the road and into some dirt and stuff, I'm going to find that I need to be a lot more delicate with the throttle and more careful that way. But, you know, the Versys-X comes with, this any road, any time logo that Kawasaki sold it with. The Scrambler Urban Enduro comes with kind of the same 90-10 tires on it, which I think will eventually change. But the bike has I just barely turned it over 1,000 miles on it. It had 8 something on it when I got here. And so the tires aren't worn out. And I don't see any point in replacing them just yet. When I do, my thought is to probably go with something a bit more aggressive, at least the EOS 7 Plus, if not the TKC 80. It just kind of depends on where I find a ride out here. And then I think what I was starting to say, though, is some of the differences, right? I had to add a skid plate to the Versys-X. I added engine guards as well, which was a great investment because I tend to push my limits a little bit. That's how you grow. And it's just not fun if you don't push your limits. At any rate, the Scrambler at this point doesn't have engine guards. I need to check and see if they're available. But some of it is a bit more flexible. So, for example, the fenders on the Scrambler are made out of a material, I think a kind of a plastic that is flexible, more like a dirt bike. So, if you bump that against something, it'll bend and then pop back into shape. Whereas the Versys-X, the fender, is made out of some kind of a fiberglass material. It flexes some, but it's pretty brittle. I broke mine, had to replace it. There's a video for that. The Scrambler, if I didn't mention this, comes with a skid plate. It's got a nice metal skid plate underneath it. It came with that from the factory. It came with a metal guard to protect the headlight. So, there are a lot of things that just out of the box, say, take me off-road more on the Scrambler than they do on the Versys. So I other than the engine guards, it's pretty much ready to go, whereas the Versys took a bit more tweaking. The riding is completely different. The Versys is a very nimble bike, but it's also higher. On that bike, you can barely put your... I'm 5'8", so I can barely put my feet flat on the ground on that Versys. On the Scrambler, I'm actually looking, when I have a little bit of time and money, I'd kind of like to add maybe Seat Concepts makes a seat that's a little bit higher to that. I actually get some cramps in my legs once in a while because it's really, the seating position is low to the ground. It's very easy to put your feet flat on the ground on that bike, which can be an advantage at some points. Interestingly, based on the specs, there is roughly a half an inch of difference in the ground clearance, and Versys-X having the half inch more. There is, I think, less than 20 pounds in the weight difference. I believe, again, the weight advantage going to the Versys, with the Versys weighing slightly less than 400 and the Scrambler slightly more than 4. The Versys has a bigger tank and gets better fuel economy. I think I've averaged over the lifetime of the bike 62 or 63 miles per gallon. So far with the Scrambler, I'm getting about 40. Now, to be fair, I haven't put a lot of miles on that yet, so I may do better. But that's just a quick rundown of the differences in those bikes. And so, I don't know. I'm excited to explore those. I last week was able to get out and get my first motorcycle ride in that actually has audio. I have a new helmet, and I've spent a little bit of time trying to find a microphone system that'll work with my GoPro 10 so I can get some decent quality video and also get acceptable audio. And I think I'm close. My computer just decided to go to sleep on me. There we go. Woke it back up. So anyway, those are some of the things that we hope to explore. I've got video from Idaho that I've yet to publish, some of it riding back and forth to work on those final days, which may include some thoughts that I may or may not want to put videos out with. But I know for sure there's a ride that I took with one of my best friends, and we left Bonners Ferry and rode up over through Boulder City and came out into Troy, Montana. And, you know, stopped there for a burger, rode back home on Highway 2. We went up into the area where Boulder City used to be, and that was a tiny town, mining town, I believe is what that was. Mentioned in the book, The Boys in the Boat, which is kind of an interesting book if you're interested in history, interested in Olympics, rowing, and maybe Boundary County, Idaho. It's a good read, so I'd recommend that. And then lastly, I haven't told you too much about what I'm doing here, but I think I might have mentioned I was director of IT in Idaho. I've taken a job here with a great company, willing to invest some time into training for me, and I'm really, really excited to be moving forward in my career and learning something new. Having a place to explore, having a team to explore ideas with, and I'm also looking forward to very shortly having more daylight to get out and ride. So hopefully after work I can get out and kind of explore some new places. So anyway, that's your update from Anthony, and we'll see if this take makes it onto the YouTube channel. But regardless, I hope that you guys enjoy some of the content that I throw up there. And if you don't, it's okay, because I'm having fun making it. So with that, I will say always try to keep the greasy side down, the shiny side up, and I'll catch you later. Have a good time. Enjoy life. And I'll see you next time. Anthony out.